Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about, first off, that southeast snowstorm that's going to be going on throughout the day and night tonight into tomorrow, and then also a potential major snowstorm coming up later on this week into this weekend. Now, before I get started with this video, though, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends, family, and social media. I'd also highly recommend that you check out our very awesome Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Now, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, how major do you think this snowstorm could potentially be that is coming up this weekend into next week? Let me know in the comments down below what your thoughts are, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now, it's very, very important that you note that this is just a potential event. The thumbnail that you saw when you clicked this video is basically the chances of snowfall with this one, where I think there could be some major snowfall. This is by no means a forecast yet. I'm going to have my forecast out as we get closer to the storm. So for now, we're just going to be taking a look at model guidance. I don't want there to be any confusion. Even at the end of this video, I will have a confidence tab where I'll be able to tell you more about what my expectations are and just like how confident I do feel in that system. Now, to start things out, we're going to take a look at that southern snowstorm first, and you can see there is already some moderate to heavy snowfall going on for Arkansas and through Missouri, with some precipitation down to the south. And by the time we reach about, I would say maybe 11 p.m. tonight, you're going to see some snowfall moving into Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, even the Smoky Mountains and portions of the Appalachian Mountains. North Carolina starting out as rain there. But what we're going to do here is we're going to move on, and we're going to move on towards where we're going to begin to see some snowfall for North Carolina and through Virginia, even some heavy snowfall actually. Now, this is our HRRR model, or our HRRR model, some people call it, and this is a pretty good model. It's one of the shortest range models there is, and we're in that point where we really need to be transitioning to the short range model. I see a lot of people talking about the GFS, the Canadian, the European. They're important, but really we want to be taking a look at this model, the NAM, the RGEM, the SREF model as well is very crucial. I'm going to be showing all of those a little bit later on. Notice this model shows some sleet down there for portions of North Carolina. I am going to be taking that into consideration with my snowfall forecast for this storm. The northern portions, though, seeing moderate to heavy snowfall for northern North Carolina and through southern Virginia. And you can see this one closes out at about 11 a.m. on Thursday, with some moderate snowfall still for eastern North Carolina and southeastern Virginia there as well. And we're going to be taking a look at the amounts of snowfall pretty soon here as well. The NAM model has this one sliding down to the south. And it really has much lighter snowfall. It is warmer down there, so if it slides far enough south, there's not going to be really that much cold air, and the heavier precipitation is going to be in the form of rain, only with lighter snowfall to the north. Alright, the RGEM model is just like that HRRR model. This is actually my favorite model of all time, and this one is calling for, again, that northern North Carolina, southern Virginia region to be the bullseye for this storm, and it closes out by approximately 12 p.m. on Thursday, January 28th. Alright, now what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and take a look at the total snowfall maps according to multiple models for this snowstorm, and then my official forecast for this snowstorm, and then we're finally going to move on towards that potentially huge snowstorm coming up soon. Alright, now first things first, here is that European model, and again, I told you guys these aren't as important, but they still are quite important. The European model is the furthest south model out of any of these at its 0Z run, which was last night. We don't get that 6Z run until a little bit later, so I'm usually only using the 0Z run of the European model on my videos because I make them in the morning. Anywhere in the grays, we're taking a look at about a dusting to an inch of snow, if anything. And in the blues, that's where we're taking a look at about 2 to 6 inches of snow, mostly 2 to 4 in that eastern North Carolina portion. Also for Missouri, Illinois, and portions of Kentucky. It's really the Smoky Mountains in through portions of the Virginia mountains there, where we're taking a look at mostly that chance for 4 to 6, even a little bit of 6 inches plus there being picked up in that purple. Now let's move on to that model that we actually use for simulated radar, and that's our HRRR model. And this one, remember, it had sleet to the south. This does not really pick up on that sleet, so I really think that a lot of that on the southern portion of this will be cut away. You'll see that on my snowfall forecast. But generally, southern Virginia, northern North Carolina, this one says 2 to 3 inches of snow, and that's what the National Weather Service seems to be hinting at as well a general 1 to 3. They've said usually like 1 inches with 2 to 3 isolated within those regions, and I definitely agree there. Again, you'll see that on my official snowfall forecast. The NAM 3KM model, remember this one slides away to the south innocently, really not bringing much snowfall at all. And sure enough, about an inch, if anything, for North Carolina, with some areas of 2 inches or more. But really, that's the weakest of all of the models. And then my favorite, the RGEM model. I think this one has a great handle on this storm, actually, because those areas that are expecting to potentially get sleet, it does cut away some of those totals, mostly leaving northern North Carolina and southern Virginia with the most snowfall there. A general 1 to 3 inches of snow, maybe even 3 to 6 in some of those darker blue regions, mostly northern North Carolina there. Northeastern North Carolina, especially, even some purple showing up, but especially there in the mountainous regions of Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee, where 6 inches plus seems to be quite a big possibility. And then even that SREF mean model, and actually the cool thing about this model is it's kind of like a high resolution ensemble model. If you're not familiar with an ensemble model, it's basically just a model that has multiple models put together, and it takes the mean average of that and puts it together. And I like what this is calling for as well. It seems very realistic. This one just says a general 2 to maybe 4 inches of snow throughout all of these blue regions, which I think is a quite big possibility. Though I do think some of the mountainous regions of Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee could see 6 inches plus. Not going to say it's guaranteed. What we're going to do here is move on towards our snowfall forecast here from Direct Weather, so you can get my exact thoughts, and then we're going to move on and take an exciting look at that massive snowstorm that appears possible later this week into early next week. All right, so here is my official snowfall forecast. We're going to start out with this dusting to 3-inch region, and basically anywhere in this white region could see flakes to 3 inches. This is where I expect snowfall to occur, basically. That purple region, you could see flakes, but I do expect some pretty significant sleet issues to be possible as well. So I've left that northern North Carolina region where there's going to be kind of the more pure snowfall. Everywhere will pretty much start as rain, I'm expecting, for the most part, with the exception of the very far northern regions. But that should quickly transition over to snow, and that's when it will start to accumulate, as long as it is cold enough and the ground is cold enough. That's another thing we have to take into consideration. Some of these regions have warmer ground, and it might snow for hours and never stick. These types of situations are very, very tricky, but we're going to try our best here. Now, there's 3 separate regions of 3 to 6 inches expected. One there for Missouri, one there for the more mountainous Appalachian regions for North Carolina, Tennessee, up through Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky. And then I have another one where that low is actually going to transition over to the more eastern regions. There seems to be a lull in between those two regions, but we should have another 3 to 6 inch region set up for northeastern, north central North Carolina, and then also maybe extreme southeastern Virginia. If we see a southern trend, expect less of Virginia to see that. If we see a northern trend, it could be bullseyed over eastern Virginia there. So really, there is some room for some development in these models to move around a little bit throughout the day today. I encourage you to join our exciting Facebook group, Weather Freaks, for the latest information, as we're going to be actively talking about those model runs as they come out. The HRRR model updates every single hour, so there's going to be many, many model runs throughout the day today and tonight that we're going to be taking a look at. As I add one more shade, you can see there is some darker blue there for North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. That's where I do expect 6 to 10 inches to be possible for those mountainous regions. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to move on and take a look at that potentially major snowstorm that's coming up later this week into early next week. Now, what I love about this storm is it's going to kind of give everybody some snowfall. Well, everybody except for me for the most part, but really, areas in the Ohio Valley and the Midwest are going to start to see some moderate to heavy snowfall, potentially with this storm. This is according to our ECMWF model, or our European model, and this is actually the morning model run from yesterday. I want to show you the most major worst case scenario model run we've seen so far, and then we're going to move on and take a look at the most up-to-date one. But this had heavy snowfall out there, and then very heavy snowfall for Virginia, the Delmarva, Maryland, D.C. by the time we're reaching the AM hours on Monday, and then by the time we reach the afternoon or noontime hours on Tuesday, it becomes a full-blown East Coast snowstorm there as a nor'easter. And that snowfall total map, you've probably seen this if you pay attention to a lot of weather pages. People have been sharing this like crazy. And this is kind of that. I think this is way overblown, obviously, but generally this one had 2 feet plus there for Virginia, DC, Maryland, and close to 2 feet for southern New England as well. absolutely a monster storm showed up on that model run, which is still possible, but you can see that as we move on towards this morning's model run, it's a little bit less with the snowfall. But we generally see 1 foot plus still possible for portions of North Carolina, Virginia, and then even New England states as well. It kind of has a lull in between there, which might or might not happen. Even that Midwest and Ohio Valley region still seeing significant snowfall. Let's take a look at that GFS model quickly. And this is this morning's model run, by the way. And it does take that heavier snowfall straight into the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes still. It has some heavier snowfall with some mixing issues going on for the Mid-Atlantic there. And then it does try to bring it up the coast by time we're reaching maybe 2 a.m. on Monday. And eventually it does become a nor'easter as well as a 991 millibar low pressure center there by time we reach about maybe 6 a.m. there on Tuesday. So this one does have a nor'easter as well. This is what that total snowfall would look like. So still 12 inches plus, pretty widespread. That seems to be the trend with all of these models. They all call for a foot plus. Here's the Canadian model as well, which looks even more major. So yeah, we're taking a look at a potential big snowstorm coming up this weekend, potentially rivaling that one we had in mid-December. This seems to be a very major snowstorm, just like that one was as well, though that's only a potential at this point, because as you will see later on my confidence tab, I'm not very high up on it yet. Here's the GFS ensemble model, and these seem to have very high amounts actually, so they're agreeing on a lot of snowfall going on, at least 6 to 10 inches of snow for these purple regions is what those ensemble models are expecting, which this has 30 members, so we're taking a look at a lot of opinions here. And then here's the European ensemble model, which has a little bit more of a classic nor'easter track and a bit more snowfall for sure. 10 to 15 inches of snow basically from the mountains of Virginia, West Virginia, up through Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and all the way up through New England. This would be an absolute monster of a snowstorm. And this model seems very confident in that actually as well. This one has even more members, I believe. I think it's either the European ensemble model or the GEFS, which is the GFS ensemble model. One of them has more than the other. Either way, they both have a ton of opinions going on, which averages that out. So when you see the higher amounts on the ensemble models, it means a lot more than when a deterministic model like the GFS, the European, the Canadian model, when they show a lot, you know it could go away the next run. But when you have 30 separate models all showing a ton, that means a lot more. So for my confidence tab, for that first storm for the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast, I'm at about a 5 in the confidence tab. I'm about as high as you can get. I do expect some minor ticks, either north or south, to be possible here. If it's north, again, you could see more areas in Virginia get more snowfall. If it's south, we could see a lot more for North Carolina. But either way, I'm at a 5, which is almost the maximum I could be at. Now, for my confidence tab for that second storm I showed, we're only at about a 2 now. So we do expect there to be a storm. That's why we're at a 2. But the details seem to be very, very iffy from model to model. And the track is so uncertain at this point. The amounts are uncertain. So we're going to be needing to watch that for the coming days. That's going to be the storm we track for, I'm assuming, a few days at least. And I'm very excited to talk about that one with you guys for the upcoming few days as we anticipate a potential major snowstorm. Anyways, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, what do you think is going to happen with that potential upcoming major storm this weekend and into early next week? And James Marr said, it has that classic nor'easter setup, so I think it will be a big snowstorm for portions of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, and I do think that that is looking possible at this point, that we could have a major nor'easter this weekend into early next week. We're going to be watching that closely. I'm so excited to talk about that with you guys in the upcoming days. Now, for today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, Sebastian Tao, John Benbenick, James Wade, Dovi Nagel, Alan Balemo, Adam S., Larry LePan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aidan Mattis, alongside our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Terry Curtis, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Alicia Davis, Mark J, Luke Falego, Gary's, and John Quialisi. If you would like to be on this Patreon end screen of the day, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video.